So another thing growing in popularity is AI. It's kind of taking over multiple different facets of everyday life. And then the big data centers that are harmful to the environment. They drive up energy costs. I mean, the list goes on with issues that people have with them. So I think more voters are interested in hearing where people kind of stand on AI. So that's just the next question for you, kind of what's your position on those kinds of things?
Yeah, and so I didn't answer your other question about stock trading. I'm in favor of banning Congress members from trading stocks. In fact, a few weeks ago, I sold all my stocks. Um, I I got into the GameStop during COVID. So
Okay.
I was diamond handing this. I was hoping for it to go to the moon before I had to sell it, but hey, for integrity purposes, we did it. When it comes to AI, we're in favor of a moratorium for AI. We've seen, if you look at a map of all the data centers across the country, it's actually very concerning because not only are they damaging the environment through 24/7 diesel generators, the noise pollution, the air pollution, the water pollution, and taking from endangered water areas, but also they're a national security risk. They remember a few months ago, like Northern Virginia's data center area, like shut down. And so the internet was greatly affected. Now imagine that was, I mean, of course, we never found out why it happened, but imagine it was a bad actor. Imagine if it was Iran retaliating at what we've done to them and explode, like, setting a bomb in or something like that. And you got neighborhoods in these areas too. So it's a massive security risk, not just for the nation, but also for the people that are forced to live near these data centers that counties are just allowing to happen simply for some sort of revenue generation? Like, are we so desperate for money that we will risk not only the lives of the people living in the county, but also the water that we drink, the water that goes out into the Chesapeake Bay, the air that we get to breathe, and the relative silence besides, the beautiful birds chirping? Like, we want to ruin all that? So it's nonsensical, and there's better ways to do it. And what corporations are doing is taking that easy, cheap shortcut to not create internal cooling systems, to not build it far away from suburbs, to not do it themselves, or not have to not build their own energy production or nuclear energy facilities on their own data center campuses. So like enough is enough. It's time for the taxpayer to stop footing the bill of these billionaires, and they need to pay for these things themselves.
And the last two questions I have for you are more kind of, I guess, election or even Congress based. First is, what is the kind of sell to reach across the aisle to the extent, obviously, we always have to with Republicans, Republican voters? How do you get them on board with some of these issues that almost on principle, a lot of them will just push back against?
So we're in support of a bill called the 80% bill, which is a whole lot of policies that over 80% of the country agrees on. And that's what a public servant should be doing, is serving the public and what the public wants. So we were one of the first five supporters of this legislation. We also have done this in the past. When I was at the Virginia Poverty Law Center, I was a state advocate for poor families. And what we were able to do that no other advocate in the country has been able to do is unite Republicans and Democrats to expand a welfare program. In 2020, we expanded SNAP for 25,000 families with a unanimous vote from Republicans and Democrats. And the way we were able to do this was we showed them the shared interests that people across the coalition, corporations across the coalition had. And that's something that our predecessors had not tried. So what we did is we understood that, as anti-poverty folks, as people who care about people, unfortunately, we don't have the power when it comes to Republicans, even some Democrats. So we looked at where the bill was going to originate from the subcommittee, and we looked at who the donors were to the Republicans on that subcommittee. And then we brought those donors into our coalition. It was like a health insurance company, and there was a community bank, there was grocery stores. And so once those elected officials saw people or corporations that they were familiar with, well, maybe a light bulb went off in their head, or they're like, oh, wait, there's a better coalition coming. And as a result of that, we were able to get that unanimous support. Now, here's the thing, Brendan. When the big, beautiful bill was going through Congress, and I saw that there was going to be $1 trillion cut from our public service programs, and that corporations were going to get hit because they're the ones where the SNAP benefits are being redeemed is at the grocery store.
Mhm.
So SNAP is not only helping the family put food on the table, but it's helping the grocery store keep its lights on. It's helping the farmers grow the food. I mean, it's a whole economic investment into society. So I was like, hey, we'll do the same thing we did in Virginia. We're just going to create that big coalition, and the Republicans will realize this is a bad idea and they'll shut it down. But Brandon, here's the issue. Not a single big box grocery store joined our coalition to fight back against that big, beautiful bill. And it was because they feared retaliation from the Trump administration. So once you had the fascism of today take over, there was no winning against that bill.
And so the other question I have is you're also running in a pretty crowded field of Democrats in the primary, and then there is an incumbent Republican that you have to run against if you are the one to come out. What kind of differentiates you from the pack and makes you the right candidate to unseat the incumbent and then lead Virginia forward?
So our work speaks for itself. We've done more to help Virginians and Americans than the whole field combined. And that's the way we're going to keep moving forward of fighting for the people. We've helped tens of thousands of families in Virginia by expanding SNAP, by expanding free school meals for tens of thousands of kids. We helped create something known as snapscreener.com, which has helped over 2.5 million families across the country unlock over $100 million in SNAP and WIC benefits. So this is the type of energy we're taking into government. It's built on the past. And this shows us what we can build in the future as well.
Awesome. And then just before I let you go, if you want to shout out like your campaign website, if you have like events coming up, you can have the floor.
Yeah, so every weekend we host events in the greater Richmond and district area, which are, coffee with a candidate on Saturdays, and then followed by canvassing in those neighborhoods. And then Sundays we do something called Park Your Politics, where parents and grandparents can bring their children and grandchildren to a local park, and we let the kids have a play date, and the adults can have dialogue and get to learn more about the campaign, learn more about each other. Because oftentimes, as a parent, as myself of young children, we don't really have that third space to meet other parents and to let kids play with each other. And so this is a way to, bridge that gap. So we've done those a few times, and people have been really, and the people have enjoyed it. We have snacks and juice boxes for the kids and adults, and coloring pages as well that are custom made for the campaign. So we're having a good time and building community through this, and it's a joyful campaign because in dark times they cannot take away our joy. You can find us on salamforva.com. That's SALAAMFORVA.com. It's got all my social media, like at the bottom of the page. Sign up for our newsletter. But really, the big thing really is sign up to volunteer, donate your time, or donate your money. We have a great volunteer forum for people in the district and outside. Lots of things to do. But also because we're not taking corporate donations, because we're not taking APAC donations, that does leave a huge hole in our campaign budget. Those organizations provide tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars that help fund campaigns for their staffing, their consultants, their lit printing, all that kind of stuff. We don't have that type of cash. So every single dollar that people donate, especially on a recurring level, that helps us make, order the lit, order the merch, get to the doors, order the ads, buy the ads so that we can get in front of people that we aren't able to knock their doors on. So that's really the big help that we can get.
Awesome. And for anyone interested, I always try to have those linked in the description as well if they do want to follow the campaign. I appreciate you taking some time to speak with us. I'm excited as your campaign progresses and, best of luck to you. Maybe we could have you back on after the primaries or something as it keeps going on.
And in Virginia, we're going through redistricting, so things could change very quickly in the next month. But I also want to let your viewers know, listen, they want us thinking that you are alone and there's nobody else out there. I mean, as the sun sets on this version of America, you may be wondering, who's going to come save us? But the answer is it's us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And I'm waiting for you to join us on this journey towards building and struggling towards that new sunrise on the next America that we're building. So come through, join us, and let's have a good time doing it.
Awesome. And hey, best of luck with everything. I hope it always goes in your favor.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yep. Enjoy your weekend, my friend.